Today we're going to talk about the boring parts of buying a house. What does that look like? What are the boring parts? Are they all boring? Is anything exciting? Sometimes I question that. I'm Danielle Waldera, local realtor here in Harford County, Maryland. I am joined with Cori Glawacki, who is going to help walk us through some of these questions because I truly feel like she is like queen behind the scenes. And you deserve to be brought from behind to the front.
I love that.
So Cori, what are some of the behind the scenes parts of a transaction that people don't think about?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times people look at it very surface level. I have good credit, I've got money in the bank, and I have a good income. I'm going to qualify for this loan. But there are things behind the scenes that are sort of scrutinized or looked into with a lens once you get to the underwriting process. So just things like your bank statements are going to be scrutinized if you have large deposits or if you have reoccurring charges that show up on your bank statement. An underwriter is going to ask us to dig in and figure out what that is.
If anyone literally asked me why I go to Starbucks so much,
yeah,
I'd be like, mind your business.
I will tell you, it's not, people always do get worried about that. We don't look at like your daily spendings or anything like that, but if there's a reoccurring charge, for example, like every 2 weeks you've got $350 coming out and going to this one creditor, maybe it's not something that shows up on your credit report, but the underwriter is going to say, hey, I've looked at these bank statements and that charge keeps popping up. We need to figure out what that is. Is that a debt or a liability we're not accounting for? So,
or are you doing illegal activities?
Yeah, exactly. Like what's going on? You got some explaining to do. So it's not so much like how often are you eating out or are you, do you have any weird subscriptions?
I feel really judged.
No. They don't care about that. We've seen it all, trust me. Even things like pay stubs though. So, some people might look at a thing and say, hey, I made, X amount last year, but a portion of that might be a bonus or a portion of that might be a commission or something that isn't reoccurring. And so that may not be able to be factored into your qualifying income. So I think just recognizing that what you think your situation looks like is not the way that an underwriter is going to look at things. So that's where the loan officer comes into play on the front end, just kind of analyzing that to get out in front of any issues. I always tell people, don't hide things from me. I am the liaison between you and the underwriter, but the more I know, the more I can prepare your file for a clean underwrite. So
and
tell me everything.
Them.
Yes, we
even
will
if you
find
try
them.
to hide something,
exactly.
You will find it.
It's 2026. Everything pops up on a fraud search. So just be honest with your lender. Tell them the story, and we will decide what we tell the underwriter.
I'm so thankful for you.
Yes. Well, let's talk about home inspections. So, why do they matter, and what happens at a home inspection? I guess for anybody who maybe doesn't know.
Home inspectors are another kind of behind the scenes sort of operation when you're buying a house. It's just not something a lot of people talk about. But I'll tell you, in lamest terms, what really happens every single home inspection is all hell breaks loose. Like that's what happens. That's what happens. It doesn't matter if it's new construction or if the house is 100 years old. All hell breaks loose every single time.
Yeah.
Buyers panic every single time. I try my best to prepare the panic, right?
Yeah.
I try my best to, I give a list actually of like the top 12 things that we see in our area, in our local area, that could possibly come up on home inspections that you should just be like mentally and emotionally prepared for, right? So I try to like prepare, over-educate. I try to tell them how they're going to, this is probably going to make you feel upset, right?
Yeah.
You're about to spend the most money you've ever spent on one thing ever in your life, and you're going to get a 40-page report
of what's wrong with it.
Of everything that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Not only what's wrong with it, but it is going to look catastrophic.
Yeah.
I try to tell people two things. One, the inspector has to cover their butts, right? So it is their job to nitpick and get into everything. That's their job. That's what you want them to do. That's what you paid them money to do here.
Yeah.
Also, if you did home inspections on the house you lived in right now, I can guarantee you
it would be a 40-page report of what's wrong.
40-page report of what's wrong. And if you want to do that just so that you can scare yourself even more, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there one thing there's a thing that's popping into my head that I can, it begins with an M, ends with an old. Is there one thing that you would say you see is like often a deal killer, or something that maybe just is automatically going to be a buyer freaks out and doesn't want to buy the house?
FYI, in our industry, we are not allowed to use the M word.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Unless it has been tested and properly identified.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mold.
Okay.
We call that microbial growth. No, what does my inspector call it? Organic growth.
Okay.
Maybe something like that.
Okay.
But here in Maryland, we have basements.
Yeah.
Not every state has basements.
Okay.
So like Florida, Georgia, those states have a little bit less of the M word because when you have underground surfaces, our basements are concrete, and concrete is a porous substance. And what do porous substance do? They pull things from the outside in. They pull moisture in. It will be inevitable in every single basement in Maryland.
Really?
That moisture will come through and it will be present. It is just, how are you mitigating that? Are you running a dehumidifier? Do you have a French drain? Have you dry locked your walls? Have you painted? Is the space finished? Is it breathing? Is it, clammed up so you can't see it? There's a lot of different ways to navigate it. That is called efflorescence, which is also not the M word.
Yeah.
But efflorescence is when the concrete is pulling that moisture through. And you can see signs of like your concrete bubbling or the paint bubbling on the concrete or staining on the concrete. And people are immediately like, mold!
Yeah.
I guess it is mold. We call it efflorescence. I don't really know what the difference is. It's a lesser form of mold.
Yeah.
But it's not like black, toxic.
Yeah. It's
mold.
treatable.
It's treatable.
Yeah.
It's something that you will have to battle for your entire existence in your house because we're in Maryland and we have wet soil and we have basements, and that's
what happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah. I guess let's talk about title. Why is it important to both buyers and sellers?
Title are my unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because they, I think, have one of the hardest jobs, and they just don't get enough credit.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But they have to really scrutinize your documents, the history of your property, make sure that there's no boundary exceptions, make sure that there's no deed restrictions or strange things that are showing up that shouldn't be there. They are what protects you when you buy your house for the long term, to make sure that no crazy liens or fees or altercations come up during the time of ownership. Title is my unsung hero.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should get more credit and probably charge more, likely, because they also don't charge a lot for
Yeah,
their job.
absolutely.
I feel like, your title fees, could be a couple $100, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
You did a lot for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know how much the lender and title are working together behind the scenes to make these transactions happen. Yep. Title is sort of the party in the transaction that the buyer at least, or the seller will probably hear from the least throughout the process and probably get to know the least throughout the process. But they are behind the scenes working really, really hard with your agents and with your lenders to make sure everything's going smoothly. I think you're exactly right. They are sort of like, they're not given enough credit for all that they do. Yeah.
No, for sure.
Where do deals fall apart during the process? And I'm hoping it's not because of lending. Not with me, anyway.
It really isn't most of the time.
No, it's not.
A good lender like Cori will make sure that before you even place your offer, your finances are in line. As long as you work with a good lender, wink, wink, you should not run into that.
Yeah.
So the only time things would fall apart for lending is if you literally lost your job in the middle, right? So something catastrophic happens in your life.
Buy a car or something crazy
your situation
like that.
changes, and that's understandable. But Cori will make sure that all of she's already analyzed your documents, your credit, all those things before you even place your offer. So we should not be in a position where lending is a problem.
Yeah.
The number one reason is inspections.
Yeah.
And it's because everyone has a very different tolerance. So to me, honestly, I've also found that it doesn't matter if you're a first-time buyer or if it's your fifth house.
Really?
Your tolerance is your tolerance.
Yeah.
So if you have no tolerance for moisture in the home, you have
good luck.
You have no tolerance for that, and that's what it's going to be. If you have no tolerance for older appliances, you have no tolerance for that. That's what it's going to be. So whatever people get a little bit of PTSD about past experiences, right? So maybe they've bought 2 houses before and they bought them and their HVAC went, up 2 weeks after both of those times. So they are hyper-focused.
Yeah.
So it's always inspections is the reason, but the why within the inspections is very different from person to person based on basically your PTSD about where you've lived before, what has happened to you before, and how much that costs you and how much pain that caused you
Yeah.
emotionally to get through.
I imagine you're probably on the front end digging into those pain points and trying to get out in front of that before you show people properties, right? Like, hey,
Right.
you had mentioned this is going to be a challenge for you, just so you know this property has older appliances, or, you know, just to kind of get out in front of that with
And here's how
with
we
clients.
can combat that ahead
Yeah.
of time. So
Yeah.
when we go into your inspections, you shouldn't have a ton of questions about anything other than what I can't physically see. So I'm not allowed to touch things when we're showing houses. So I'm not allowed to like pull off the electrical panel. I'm not allowed to do that while I'm showing you a house. That's an inspection process.
Yeah.
But when I'm showing you houses, I do know what your pain points are.
Yeah.
So I can open the electrical panel. I just can't remove it from the wall, which
Sure.
is what your inspector does.
Yeah.
So I can say, oh, I know aluminum wiring is a problem for you. This house was built in 1965. There's a good chance.
Good possibility.
There's a good solid
Yeah.
chance we're working with aluminum wiring.
Yeah.
But the inspector will take off the panel, see what type of aluminum wiring is, see if it's been brought up to current standards, see if it's branch aluminum wiring or the other type of aluminum wiring, and see if he or she feels like, okay, this is aluminum wiring, but they've put the oxy paste on it. That's the best case scenario. You're good. Is your house going to burn down? Nah.
Yeah.
What tends to surprise people the most once they're actually in transaction?
Honestly, hand to God, the thing I get the most is I can't believe how easy that was. And that's true. I think that it's it doesn't need to be, but it feels like such a scary process. And especially I think lending and getting pre-approved and financing is sort of the intimidating part of that. And so I think people think the underwriter's the big bad wolf and their loan's going to crumble and fall apart, or they're going to have to produce document after document after document. And sometimes there's a lot of documents, but honestly, most people are pleasantly surprised that it was so much easier and so much less painful than they expected it would be. So that's always what we want to hear. But I honestly think that's probably the biggest shocker for people.
It's like analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
like the more you analyze a situation and what it's going to take and how many steps, it seems like it stops you from doing that thing.
Yes.
That really is not that we take
No.
care of so much
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely.
That like they give you your documents and then you're like, I got
Yeah.
you. I got you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, there's so much that they don't even realize is going on
Right.
behind the scenes that we try to keep off of their shoulders. Or yeah,
right.
definitely. What is your role, I guess, in navigating or helping people through this?
My role, along with obviously showing you the houses, walking through the process, right? All of that is given. But really, I do take seriously my role of making the right connections between you and who you're going to need.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of hands in the pot. There's lenders, there's title, but it's more than that. There's insurance, there's moving companies. There are so many pieces of this puzzle. There's landscapers, who's going to mow your lawn. You might need a lot of different resources.
Yeah.
Other than just, oh, Danielle showed me this house and I'm going to buy it or I'm going to put an offer. Cool. But like, I take it very seriously hooking you up with the right people that I know after building a relationship with my client. I know who they're going to jive with. I know who's going to do a good job based on what their past experiences have been. You know, maybe they've had bad experiences with their insurance. Nobody likes insurance, literally. They're the bad guys. They're not the unsung heroes. They are just the bad guys. So, no one likes them. But if you've had a bad experience where you tried to claim, you know, and you just couldn't get it approved, okay, I got you. I have someone who can work something better with you, who will be a little more personal and not so, oh, did you take a picture of your water leak and submit it through the portal? Yeah. Maybe you feel like you need a little more personal touch. And I really take it seriously that it is my job to connect you with quality referrals and references that can make your entire experience when you move in and beyond the way that you would want it to be.
Yeah. So do you help with that after settlement as well? Like if a client calls you 5 years later and says, oh my gosh, I need a plumber, or whatever the case may be, I would imagine you've got just a Rolodex of people you can refer them to.
I was literally just laughing with my contractor who came in this morning to look at some things around the office for me. And we were joking and I said, this week I've worked a lot for free because I've gotten a lot of questions like that. Yeah. So this week it's been a lot of, okay, I need a house cleaner. Yeah. I don't know where to go to. Do you have someone? Okay, I am going to redo this bathroom. I don't know what to do. Do you have someone? Obviously. Yeah. I want you to come to me. I want to be that constant resource for you. I want to support my people that I have business relationships with and I know they do a good job. I'm giving them to you because they've done work for me personally. They've done work for my family and trust. These people are good people. So I want people to come to me always.
Absolutely.
Forever. And
Yeah.
plus, I want to see it when you're done. I want pictures. And
Yeah.
I want to be like, oh, you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one part of the process that you think sellers should pay more attention to? Is there a specific part that you think they need to focus on?
Maintenance.
Yeah.
Just maintenance. Just, have the HVAC company come twice a year. Just pay the $200 a year to do it.
Yeah.
Just maintain your systems. Oftentimes, if there's not a problem that is visible, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Right? So if I can't see it, it's like, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Like, it's not happening. But it's happening.
Yeah.
It's just happening behind the scenes. It's just
Yeah.
happening with inside of your appliance. The condensation is just building up inside your condenser where you can't see it.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah.
And same thing in your attic, like if you don't have proper ventilation, if you're not maintaining these large scale parts of your house, you are going to be building moisture and mold and problems and issues with things down the road that an inspector will pinpoint every single time. And it's going to make your life miserable because you're going to sit there when you're selling your house and say, what do you mean? Nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
My it turned on today and it cooled my house. And everything was good. Okay, cool. But then when we opened up the machine, everything was not cool.
Yeah.
So
that kind of goes full circle, right? So small problems can become big problems, just like we talked about in the beginning with underwriting.
Right.
The more transparent and the more out in front of things you are, I feel like overall the better your experience will be with both sides of the transactions there. So that's kind of cool.
Just maintain,
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about behind the scenes today because I truly feel like all of my behind the scenes partner, especially Cori, are the unsung heroes because they are the people that don't get enough face time. I get all the face time in the world with my clients and I love that and you're my people. But you should know that Cori exists and that she's an expert and she's a real person. She's a real local person that also wants to see you succeed and love you just as much as I do. So if you liked what you saw today, stick around for more. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you guys.